All right. Welcome to our Tuesday night coaching call. Tonight we're going over confidence. Let me switch out some settings here. Tonight we're going over confidence. We've talked about confidence in the past. This is a good review, but I'm going to expand upon it a little bit tonight. And the expansion is really about getting into the zone. A lot of athletes, they'll talk about what it means to them of being in the zone. Here's what I want you to do right now with your paper in front of you. Just jot down one or two notes. What does it mean to be in the zone for you? What does it mean to be in the zone for you? Go ahead and write that down. Then I'll go ahead and explain a little bit what I mean beyond that, but go ahead and write that down. So, being in the zone, athletes will often describe it in a multitude of manners. They'll say the ball is just flying perfectly off my racket. There seems to be my movement is effortless. The game slows down. I can see and place the ball wherever I want to on the court. You name it. Some of the examples that you come up with might be a little different. They might be similar. But being in the zone is about playing effortless where the game feels like you're invincible, almost like you can do anything you want on the court, from a movement, from tactics, technique, to every aspect of the game is just effortless and flawless. Okay. An athlete will typically only spend, brace yourself, about 10 to 15% of their career in the zone. And that's kind of on the high end of the estimates. So, what's that mean? The remaining 75, 80, 85, up to 90% of your career is going to be playing when you're not at your absolute quote unquote best when you're in the zone. So what do we do with that? Well, we're going to be talking about that tonight. How do we hack the zone? I'm going to give you just a few ways to really attack it tonight, and then hopefully that it will be a good launch pad for you to intentionally be thinking about not just confidence, but how to get in the zone quicker and how to stay there more frequently. And we're talking even in a practice setting. See if you can learn how to hit better more consistently at a higher level in practice, tapping into the zone in practice. It makes it so much easier to get there in a match, get there during a tournament. So we're going to be talking confidence because being supremely confident but not overconfident and being in the zone, they go hand in hand.
I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed.
Legendary commercial right there from Michael Jordan. I play that commercial for a couple of reasons. One, let's get raw with confidence and just talk about the brass tacks truth. In order to be confident, you're going to have to go through failure. You're going to have to go through making mistakes. He talks about he's lost more than 300 games. He's talked about how he's missed over, I think, 9,000 shots. This guy is, we look at as one of the most supreme athletes ever to grace our culture of sports. And we remember him for his triumphs, but what's really interesting, the guys went through a lot of failures. He's went through a lot of moments. And last week, if you were with us, we were going over growth mindset and the difference between failing versus failure. Well, Jordan makes one of the best case studies to be able to look at. We can point to as a shimmering example and an elite competitor, but the guy went through a lot of adversity and he went through a lot of failed moments too. I play that commercial for another reason. Did you listen how confident he was when he was speaking? See, he wasn't just speaking. I know they shot it for a commercial, but this is Jordan in his Jordan form. You see, when we're playing at our best, it's easy to talk confident. When we're playing at our worst or not well at all, it's hard to talk confidently. Jordan, even when he wasn't at his absolute best, he was still talking and acting confident. I want you to really understand that confidence is so much more than just how you feel. If you're taking notes, that would be a really good bullet point. It's not on my slides, but I want you to pay attention. Confidence is much more than just a feeling. It's a skill. It's a skill that we must develop, we must get really good at. But here lies, I love this graphic. I guess it's a meme, right? You call it a meme. Overconfidence. This is going to end in disaster, and you have nobody to blame but yourself. All right. So we got the dangers of confidence. And when you could even say overconfidence. Anybody ever heard this? You just gotta fake it till you make it. You just gotta go out there and you gotta just act like you're confident, even though you're not. Even though you've had a terrible week, even though you've not had great games in the past, even though your self-talk is terrible. Have you ever been in this position, or has anybody ever shared with you or told you, with very good intentions, by the way, just fake it till you make it? If you've heard that, well, you're not alone. I heard that too a lot growing up. But here's what I'm going to tell you about it in a second. So confidence is about full trust and belief and reliability in somebody or something. Confidence is put in a different way that I really like. This definition is belief before knowing. It's really what it is. Do I have the confidence to go out and perform well during this match? Yep. Well, what am I doing? I'm believing I'm going to go perform well before knowing the outcome and the result of what's going to happen. You remember backpedal just a little bit. Do you remember how I was saying confidence is much more than a feeling? This is what I mean. It's about an inner belief of knowing that you're going to compete, and it's more than a feeling. I'm going to compete at a high level before knowing how I'm actually going to go and play and compete. Belief before knowing. Let's talk briefly, because I prefaced a little bit on overconfidence. Let's talk about self-fulfilling prophecies. Oh, I got ahead of myself. Confidence, that's on the next. Confidence is key because it allows an athlete to exert effort without holding back. Overconfidence is much different than confidence, often has the opposite effect. Okay. I use the lion graphic because an overconfident person will feel like a lamb inside, but they're trying to act like a lion externally. If we try to act like that lion, but we're really a lamb inside, it only takes 1 or 2 or 3 tough moments and we collapse. It's like we get poked with a balloon. Overconfidence is defined as having a false confidence in your abilities, or you can underestimate the other opponent. Confidence, like so many other aspects of sport, is built largely in preparation. We've got to really focus on, if we're going to increase our level of confidence, no matter where it is, we really have to get disciplined on the preparation side of sport. So here's the self-fulfilling prophecy I was mentioning. A positive self-fulfilling prophecy, believing something positive and expecting something is going to happen. And when you expect something positive to happen, it oftentimes happens. It's more likely. It creates the environment and the more likelihood for said event to happen. Why? We're looking for it. We're expecting opportunities to come. We're anticipating it. And guess what happens? When you're looking for it and you're anticipating, you're expecting good things to happen, likely you're going to find good things that's going to happen. But pay attention to this one. So it gets into the fake it till you make it stuff. The negative self-fulfilling prophecy is the exact opposite. It's an invisible, but it's a real barrier where we put up where our expectation of failure predicts and leads to actual failure. This is the person that walks out on court, says, I can't get a single serve in today. What'd you just do? You literally just tripped yourself up and skinned both knees, both elbows, and banged your head against the concrete. Like, why would you do that? You walked yourself right into a really nasty negative self-fulfilling prophecy. You're expecting the negative result, and therefore you're anticipating that to happen. But this is the negative side is largely the lions and the people that are constantly being told, just fake it till you make it. Just come on, just believe. The problem in that is no matter what you're saying out loud and what you're giving to other people, if you believe that negative on the inside, there's not much that we can do about it. So have you ever had those experiences or thoughts of doing well or doing terrible? So let's pause real quick. I want to ask you, write on your paper, what are two examples that you have had on from yourself? What are two examples you've had? Let's come up with one for each. One, positive self-fulfilling prophecy, a belief that's going to help you and actually helped. And then the negative side. What are two? What are two? And give me a thumbs up on your emoticon things when you guys are ready. I've got another screen off to the side, so give me a thumbs up when you're ready. One's ready. I'll give you guys about 20 seconds. What are two examples you have had? What's happened? All right. It's like somebody was writing on my PowerPoint, huh? Hang on. Let me fix that. Maybe that was me. That was probably me, huh? All right, so let's build on confidence, okay? Let's build on confidence. Confidence it works in this beautiful little cycle. We have ambition, we have goals that leads to motivation, leads to some success, and then this whole cycle goes again and again and again. Where is the five strongest areas where confidence comes from? If you've been with us before, you may have heard this. This should be a good review. But what I want you to do is I want you to write down this equation, and I want you to try and solve the variables. P squared times SB plus or minus E equals C. This here, my friends, are the 5 strongest areas where confidence comes from. Solve each of the variables.
I'll give you about 60 seconds, 30 seconds, 60 seconds.
Where does confidence come from?
Once you have some pretty good guesses, drop a few of your guesses in the chat. See what you come up with.
Been teaching this specific formula for about 10 or 11 years. I don't believe I've ever had a single athlete get 100% of them right. We've gotten couple of them right, but some, yeah, good. Sophia dropped 1 in the chat. Very good. Sophia, you were paying attention earlier. Yep. Or maybe you just remember. And time. All right. So, where does confidence come from? These 5 strongest areas. Sophia mentioned preparation in the chat. Well, let's learn. 1 is preparation. If you're taking notes, I would write this down. Cam says self-belief. You're really, really, really close, Cam. Really close. Self-something. We'll get there. Number 2, past performance. So our preparation is a very quick snapshot into getting the car ready to run and operate to go and compete. Preparation is absolutely paramount, but so is past performances. Past performances is kind of like looking in the rearview mirror and being able to evaluate, okay, how have I done recently? What do I need to do to improve? How can I improve? How can I get better? Self-talk. That's the one where Cam, I said you're really close. Self-talk. And Cam, you're probably wondering, like, okay, well, what's the B? Glad you asked it. B, body language. Your body language is a tremendous predictor of how you are going to compete and feel. It's also body language has been studied heavily on the effects of how affects us in terms of confidence. E, environment. The way that you perceive and evaluate and look at your environment matters a lot. Is this a match where you perceive, okay, this is on my court, this is like my spot, I train here all the time, yeah, let's go? Is this a court that's like really hostile? Perhaps you're playing a school match, or you get into college and you're going to go play against your rivals. Is this a hostile environment? Is this like your hometown? Yeah, this is my zone. This is my place. Home field advantage has heavily been studied in the field of psychology, and it is a real thing. It really is. About 60 to 65% of home field competitions in the United States alone, old stat, 2019 through 2021, about 65% of home field competitions were won by the home team across all sports. Hockey, football, baseball, basketball, volleyball, tennis. We threw in college tennis, and these are looking at collegiate and professional statistics where we could find them, playing team-based environments. Environment has a significant effect on how we feel. I'm originally, a quick story on that. I'm originally from Iowa, and the University of Iowa football team, the visiting football team, when they walk into the locker rooms, the entire locker room is painted pink. And the reason why, you can look this up unless something's changed in the last couple of years, but the reason why is there's a psychology of colors that was done way back in the 70s, 80s, 90s. And Hayden Fry, the original legendary coach there at University of Iowa, he tapped into that study. A professor and him sat together, they talked about it, and the color pink softens up the male machoisms. So what Hayden Fry did is the coach for Iowa way back when is he went in, ordered the custodial staff,
paint the entire locker room, even the benches, even lockers, paint them pink. We want them to come out feeling like powder puffs. We want them to come out feeling soft. And what was amazing is Iowa, as a team in university, has maintained an impressive home field advantage win streak in just college football. It's kind of a drastic example, but it's a silly one. And is it real? Does it have a profound effect? Yeah, it really does. So let's analyze. How difficult would it be, by the way? You understand where confidence comes from? We look at these 5 areas, and again, this is surface level. But how difficult would this be to actually put this into use on the court when you really need it? If you're being honest, it's probably going to be pretty hard. And we know that. But we need to analyze a little bit. So here comes a little bit of work on your end. Of these 5, let's just take a quick snapshot and analysis because I'm going somewhere with it. And I need you to do this with me. If you want to improve and hack the zone, get to a higher level of confidence, do this with me. What are your 2 strongest areas? Just make a note. You can abbreviate if need be. What are your 2 strongest areas? Which ones are like always leading? Okay. And if you're like somebody I had a couple weeks ago on a one-on-one call, they're like, but Trevor, I'm struggling. Like nothing is going right. I'm like, great. Pick one. Pick one of them that weighs higher and more than the others. Pick one, please. And they did. So they went on body language. Number 2, which are your weakest? Pick 1 or 2. Which one is your weakest? Or 2. Write that down. Number 3, which one leaves the quickest? When I say leaves, means poof, out of thought, out of mind, just gone. You're like, yeah, I know it matters, but poof, it's gone. Which one leaves the quickest? Number 4, which one is impacted the greatest after a loss? Is it the self-talk? You badgering yourself and beating yourself up? Is it your body language slumps and you're just, oh, I can't believe that happened? Is it your preparation? You just have zero desire to go out and prepare and compete again the next day or train? Is it past performance? Because you lost, now you're haunted by that? Is the environment because you lost on that one court, on that one spot, on that one side? Therefore, every time I look at it, negative self-fulfilling prophecy, every time I look at that, that's a terrible court to play on. Which one impacts you the greatest after a loss? Number 5, what about after a win? Now, I want you to write that down too. Now, once you've written these down, you've come around and you've thought a little bit deeper on which are your strongest, which is the areas that you need to improve, and which one really impacts you the most. I'm going to teach you something. It's not in my slides. I'll just go there real fast with you. If you want to increase your confidence and hack the zone quickest, you need 2 out of 5 to hit on a high note. Maybe it is in my notes. I'm thinking. But you need 2 out of these 5 to hit at a high level. You need to be supremely prepared and have amazing body language, let's say. Why? Why do I say 2? Well, what happens is there's a beautiful chain reaction effect that happens. When you can pull on 2 of them, it brings a third and a fourth really close behind. But what happens is if you have 1 or 2 that go negative, guess what happens? The chain reaction also works on the negative side. Same way with that negative self-fulfilling prophecy we talked about briefly.
how do you hack the zone? How do you get into the zone? How do you use this to be at your best now? Like Trev, great information. Like talk real talk. How do I use this? Great question. Let's skip ahead. We're going to simplify this. We'll go back to the zone in a second. We're going to simplify it. We're going to talk about priming. There's the note I thought I had. 2 out of the 5 areas of confidence need to be switched on. And we see that formula. How in the world can you use that? Great. Let's simplify it. We're going to act big. We're going to breathe big. We're going to commit big. In the heat of the battle, when you're competing on court, it is virtually impossible to remember this silly, complicated formula. I don't want you to. I want you to write down A, B, C. One of the best, easiest, quickest ways how to hack the zone is act big, breathe big, commit big. We'll talk about that in detail in a second. But how do you use this best? I don't want you to write down that formula. I want you to just put a light cross through it and write down ABC. Okay, well, how do you use that in the middle of the match, Trev? Great question. On the top of your racket or at the top of your grip at your racket and towards the throat, get a ballpoint pen. I'm assuming that you have a light colored grip, a white, a gray, a red, a pink, a blue, something that's a light colored. Get a black or blue ballpoint pen and write ABC on the throat of your racket, or not the throat. I guess it's on the grip, and do that on all of your grips. After every single point, look down and remind yourself of one of these elements. And then ask yourself, okay, am I leading with my body language and self-talk right now? Acting big? Committing big? Yeah, okay, good. That's your reminder. If not, make a change in the moment. Let's go back. Let's talk about the zone. In sports psychology, let me actually bring up a different share screen because I think it will help you. Well, that was fun. That was fun. I got disconnected. All right. Here we go. Let's try that again. Let's try that again, guys. Here we go. Okay. Once again, I am sorry. Zoom has completely changed all of its layouts. I think you guys have access to draw. Do me a favor, try not to draw real quick. Oh, Trevor, you need to get better at using Zoom again. Okay, here we go. Sports psychology has a couple different theories on how to get in the zone. Well, here's what this kind of looks like. There's a theory that's called drive theory that says the more intense I am, the better I compete. The more intense I am, the better I compete. The more intense I am, the better I compete. The problem with that, guys, is what happens is if I get competing at such a high intense level, what happens is at some point or another, I'm going to crash. Why? Because I can't maintain that emotional standpoint at such a high level all the time. I sorry, but we're not automatons and robots where we can just play insane high levels. Drive theory stinks. It doesn't work. We don't subscribe to it. I don't use it. No way, Jose. Then we have another theory that's really interesting, called the inverted U. We'll close it. We'll bring back my other screen share so you can see this with me. Inverted U kind of works like this. There's a U upside down. Now I'm going to draw a note here on. Yeah, I'm going to draw a note here. So we have performance on the y-axis. On the x-axis, we have The psychological term is arousal, but really what it is energy. It's energy in competitive juices. At what point is are you at? Every athlete is unique. Every athlete is very different. Again, Zoom's moved my controls. Bear with me. So, how do we quantify this? Well, every athlete again is different. Let's say for the sake of this example, we'll go one, score of 1. Let's go midpoint 5, and then over here, out here, this is 10. So check this out. Is if you as an athlete are going to get really excited, really energized to a level of a 6 or a 7, you're going to probably hit your sweet spot to play your best tennis. So again, performance is high. If you get out here to a 8 or a 9, what's going to happen? You crash. Overconfidence, competing too hard, trying to do too much, being too persistent, trying to push and push and push. The same way over here. If your energy is too low, if you're a 4 and under, what's happening? You're going to quote unquote underperform. So what does that mean? If you're going to hack the zone, what that means is you've got to understand your emotional state. Now, remember, confidence is not emotion, but you have got to get really familiar with your emotional state. So the best way to do that, think back when you compete at your absolute best. Where's your emotional state? Where's your energy and your arousal? Are you a high end, like really energized, like let's go, eyes popping out, beating your chest, rah, rah, come on? Or are you more subdued, calm, measured, controlled, methodical? Where are you at? Because once you understand that, then what you can do is you replicate it match to match, game to game, practice to practice. And what happens is you put yourself in the position to hack the zone consistently. I'll pause. You have to get really, really good at figuring out where is the zone for your emotional state. And again, this was just a working example. Bring up my tools again. Let's delete everything. And let's pretend this is 4, 5, oops, sorry, 6. Let's say that you're that athlete that you got to be a 5 and under. You got to be at a 4 and a 5. Let's pretend that you're a 3. And you can perform really high at a 2 and a 3. But if you get out here to a 5, you crash. I'll tell you a quick story. When I was playing high school football, it was my sophomore year, and I accidentally discovered this. I didn't even realize this was a thing until, well, hate to say it, until I got all the way into my master's degree. And that was sophomore year in high school. A guy by the name of Blake. He's a linebacker, really intense guy, wrestler too, state champion wrestler. Blake hands me a CD player. Like this is before the day of like iPods, and we had headphones that were battery powered through a CD player. Anyway, he gave me a CD, and it was a mixed CD, and on it had AC/DC, it had Guns N' Roses, it had Metallica, it had heavy metal, bang bang, rah rah, come on, let's go rattle some cages and beat some heads. Okay. And what happened was like I never like really listened to this before a football game. Like, okay, let's go. And what happens is my energy, my arousal state, my emotional state just climbs. When I walk out of the tunnel, when we're getting ready to take the field, my energy state, my emotional state is high, like super high. I'm peaking at probably like an 8 or 9 before kickoff, maybe a 10. I'm in really good shape. I played both sides, offense and defense on the ball. And after the first quarter, I'm completely drained. Absolutely just, ugh, I'm dead. I'm toast. Absolutely drained. After the game, it was clear as day, and I knew exactly what happened was I got too jacked up. That's all I knew. I got too jacked up. I had no idea there was an actual psychological theory behind this. But that's exactly what happened. Is I got too emotionally jacked up, and what happened is I crashed. I played one of the worst football games of my career that night. I don't even remember if we won. I just remember my coaches yelling at me. I had no energy. I wasn't quick. I ended up cramping. It was terrible. So here's what I did. I exchanged after that game. Again, pure accident, pure trial and error. After that game, I did like the music, just totally the wrong kind of music. So after that game, I exchanged Metallica, Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Crazy Train, Ozzy Osbourne. I exchanged all that garbage for Enya. Enya is an artist that is very slow, methodical, kind of Lord of the Rings, calm music. And I mean, we're talking like this type of music would typically put you to sleep. But what happened was I needed something to calm down. So what I did, and I had no idea this even existed, guys. But what I did is I figured it out and I realized I need to emotionally put myself in the zone, in the right frame of mind, the right emotional state. That's it. And what happened was I never walked into any competition, whether I was playing any sport. I never walked in feeling underconfident. And I never walked in feeling overconfident, supreme, like I'm a fake lion, beat my chest. Never happened. All the way through my college years. Never happened. And the reason why is because I understood something at a very early age that none of my peers did. Nobody else understood this like I did. And I know it because I asked them in the locker room. I asked them on bus rides. Nobody had an idea. They're just listening to stuff that they liked and it felt good. I didn't care about feeling good. I cared about getting in the right emotional state to compete good. I didn't necessarily like Enya, the slow, melancholy rainfall, waterfall, chill music. I didn't really like it. Shoot, my sisters did dances to this stuff. I didn't like it. It was kind of like, it's weird, but I recognized the impact of how it had on my performance. So what we're about to talk about is finding that optimal zone. You, as an athlete, you might be the crazy train athlete, like, rah, let's go. If you are, you're rare. I haven't met too many of those. Even my fighters, my UFC guys and girls that I work with in the past, most of them, right before they go out, they need to be chill. They need to be calm. They're not listening to the hard stuff hitting. They need to be chill. They need to be calm. They need to be ready to pounce. So let's talk about priming. Priming works like this. It works around triggers. Everybody knows the term trigger. Well, what trigger means is we know that when I pull the trigger on a firearm, out comes the firearm, comes a projectile. Okay, that projectile travels down, does what it's supposed to do. If it's a bullet, it's a bullet. If it's an arrow, it's an arrow. If it's a rubber band on a thumb, it's a rubber band. It doesn't matter. But when you let go of that trigger, there's an effect. Okay, we want to prime the effect that we want to have happen. So when we're talking about confidence, we got 5 areas we're hitting on, right? The preparation is not just physically, it's also mentally. So once you get done, what are you thinking about? How are you preparing it? Can you use imagery to prime you or visualization to prime you to compete at a high level? Yes, you can. Let's go through another one. What about past performances? Can you reflect after a tough past performance and get ready to go and compete differently? Yeah, you can. Can we, again, self-talk with body language, with environment, can we prime the effects through thoughts, through attitude, through body language, and taking up space? Can we prime ourselves to go and compete at a high level before we even do it? Yes. We've got to be really intentional. If you want to hack the zone, you got to get really, really good at finding a couple 1 to 2 triggers, and we can help with that. 1 to 2 triggers that can help prime you and get you in the right frame of mind, in the right emotional state. Again, confidence is not based on emotion, but it has a lot to do with our emotional state. So what areas of confidence prepare you the best to get you in the zone? And if this is a new concept to you, totally okay. So again, we're going to simplify it. The first one, we got to get primed. We need 2 of those 5 areas to really hit. So that formula is really hard to use in real time. We don't want you to. Again, I want to simplify it like this: act big, breathe big, commit big. Got one quick video and then we'll end the recording. And I don't know if, I don't think my audio was on there. Nope, it wasn't. Hang on. Let's try it now. Here we go.
Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I led you to believe it was easy when it wasn't. Maybe I made you think my highlights started at the free throw line and not in the gym. Maybe I made you think that every shot I took was a game winner. That my game was built on flash and not fire. Maybe it's my fault that you didn't see that failure gave me strength, that my pain was my motivation. Maybe I led you to believe that basketball was a God-given gift and not something I worked for every single day of my life. Maybe I destroyed the game. Or maybe you're just making excuses.
Mic drop. So again, Michael Jordan, we look at one of the greatest of all time that's ever played. And Jordan lays out the example of maybe he made the game look really simple. Maybe he just made it look so easy. And he's really, what he's doing is he's subtly priming you and challenging you to work. The harder you work, the luckier you're going to get. The more that you are working and preparing, and the more disciplined that you are in your preparation, the more disciplined you are to be able to look at past performances, the easier it is to compete when the game comes and the moment comes. I love Jordan. I know that there's so many examples in so many different sports. Those are 2 powerful commercials that have stood the test of time in the last 20 years. I think the first commercial came out 15 years ago. The other one came out about 17, 18 years ago. And they are still cycled in locker rooms and with athletes, and we still use them. Very powerful story, subtly behind the scenes. And it really hits on confidence. Are you prepared to do what you have to do to set yourself up to get in the right state of mind, in the right preparation, the right headspace, and the right emotional space to perform at your best? With that, I'll go ahead and stop, and I'll take your guys' questions.